Welcome back to Waiting for Nintendo. We're here again with Dan of D-Dunking. And Dan, I first heard about your channel when you reached out to me. And you gave me a big shout out on Twitter. I'm very grateful for it too. But when I saw your channel, I was blown away because I am a low-key pyramid nerd. I love looking at, like, I've literally watched, like, you know, Graham Hancock stuff. I've watched what's his name? I'm blanking. The guy that's always with him with the beard.
Randall Carlson.
Love Randall. And like I got obsessed with that stuff back in like 2016 or 2017, whenever like everyone was pretty much. And I went on just like deep dive after deep dive. There's something about the pyramids, man. It's just like it gets in your head and you're like waking up and going to sleep thinking about the pyramids. At least I was.
It's amazing. It really is. It's fascinating how much mental energy has gone into those piles of brick, right? I mean, this is really
well. I think it's interesting because, like for me, Egypt was like my favorite third grade subject. Like everyone goes through an Egypt thing and they tell you all the facts, you know, and like, oh, okay, that's interesting. And then when you're a kid, you look at the pyramids and it's not a mystery to you because it's just a big pile of rocks. You know, you don't think about it. You're like, we got buildings that are taller. We got whatever. They just built them. And then like when you start to get more of an understanding for just how big, just how heavy, like everything, and just how like we don't have anything like that today. There's nothing like that. And for me, it was just kind of like you think in your head, wait, how did they build them? I know it sounds corny, and you've probably heard this a million times with your channel, but you think like, how the fuck did they build this?
There's a reason they call us pyramidians, right? It's because this is where we all get into this stuff. They say it took 20 to 30 years. Lately, they've been saying 27 years is how long it took to build the pyramids, and that's where it's like, I call that the gateway drug to becoming a pyramidian. That's where it's like most people are like, wait, well, so I can believe that they built these things in 100 years, but 20 years, 25 years? Come on.
Well, you know, it just depends on your perspective. Like, that's what I've learned through this whole thing is all the different perspectives and how you kind of have to be open. It's you take everything as a fact when you're a child. I did, at least, you know, growing up in the public school system. But you realize that it's just someone's best guess somewhere along the line. And it's like, wait, like this isn't as much of a like hard science as like math. You know what I mean? Like it's not like just provable.
Yeah.
And so like the possibilities make it way more interesting.
That's exactly it. That's why you know, the mystery side of archaeology is really, it's one of the things I complain about a lot is it's like the archaeologists nowadays have rejected that they treat Graham Hancock as an enemy, and the fact of the matter is, you know, some of the guys that hate him the most will admit that Atlantis is what got them into this stuff to begin with. Why do they all dress like Indiana Jones, man? Indiana Jones did not go out and be like, stratigraphy and carbon dating. He was out chasing the damn Ark of the Covenant, right?
Yeah. It is funny how media can affect that kind of stuff.
It's unfortunately with this stuff, it's very much like they're closing archaeology departments right now. Like this stuff
it's dying.
Well, it's not as popular as money gets a little bit tighter right now. It's one of the places universities tighten their belts because it doesn't generate much revenue, and the reason is because it's literally the most popular subject is Atlantis is the most popular subject that's associated with archaeology, and they just categorically reject anything associated with it, and that's just bad business, man. You know, if you're a music reviewer, you don't have to like Avril Lavigne to review her if she's popular. Yeah. Right? So anyway,
is Atlantis what started you on your pyramidiate journey?
Well, no, it was. I was always into Egypt. Like in fourth grade, a teacher had like Egypt Day, our art teacher, and I grew up in a really Christian home, and so like the Egyptians were the bad guys, and then I saw all this like weird spirituality associated with all these big buildings and.
Yeah.
Then I read. I was into that stuff for a while, but when Graham Hancock has the book The Sign and the Seal that's about the search for the Ark of the Covenant.
Is that his first one?
It's not his first book, but it's his
before
first
Fingerprints,
book.
right?
Yes, it's his first book in this genre, and that's why I actually pre-ordered Fingerprints in 1995. Like, you can see the sticker on the back is ancient as hell.
So you're an old head when it comes to pyramid speculation, then.
Yeah, and I was lucky enough, actually. I got this one signed by Graham about 2 years ago when I went and
look at that.
Yeah, I've got on my channel. I've interviewed him once at his son's house, and I was at Sedona. I was at a presentation with him, and up on stage for half an hour or whatever, talking with him.
I saw that, actually.
Oh, thanks, man. That was like a lifetime dream come true. Like, if 25-year-old Dan knew what 50-year-old Dan would be up to, he'd be like, whoa!
Unbelievable. Yeah.
And Randall, I was just in Sedona a couple of months ago, and shameless plug, I'm going to be in Austin in October for the Quest for Ancient Civilizations Conference. Yay!
Oh, hell yeah.
And Randall will be there too, but yeah, I shared an Airbnb with Randall Carlson, and we would sit down.
He fascinates me.
He's a fun guy.
And he's so good at communication. Like, I watched like a really old video he did, I think through his church, just about sacred geometry. Just because I was interested. I will listen to anything that man says. Because he's so naturally interesting. And I loved how, like, in all his podcast appearances, he always brings a PowerPoint presentation with him. And he has them memorized, like, he's like, slide 134.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's just like, and he is, I like the way he thinks. You know what I mean? Like, you can kind of see his thought process, and it's the same. Like, when he said he was standing out, and I forget what state, but he's looking at the big, you know, his theories on, like, he thinks a meteor hit somewhere up in, I know you're familiar with all this stuff.
This is right, that area that he goes through with the channeled scablands.
Yeah,
that was called the Spokane Floods. That's right by my house.
Right by your house.
I can drive 10 minutes and go see the beginning of it. I can drive 2 hours and be at Dry Falls, that big, empty hole in the ground. Yeah, it's... yeah. He's amazing. He's fun to talk to. When at a conference I was at about a year ago, the Cosmic Summit, they had like the VIP party, and so I'm up in the room with all the other bigwigs, and we're all drinking and having a fun time. And Randall, he's just holding court. He's got his laptop open. He's got like half a dozen people around him. He ain't drinking. He's just like, so anyway, back in the like, God damn, boy. He just goes. It goes. But like I was saying earlier, it's like when you're into this stuff, it's kind of easy just to go with it. Like, some aspects of this stuff I'm like, I can get into that, but other parts of it, like they start talking about how they squared the pyramids and stuff, man. That's where I just really, it gets so interesting, because it's like such a simple thing, but there's such a small deviation on such a large run, and they had shit for tools. So it's like, I mean, a rope, you know,
allegedly, right? So, like, the thing you mentioned earlier about how they say they think it was built in 27 years. But, like, it just depends on when you think they built it a little bit, and what tools you think they might have had access to. Because, so, like, if they had better tools, I could believe that.
Yeah.
Better tools that we don't know about, you know? Yeah. So, but you mentioned something on Danny Jones that I was not familiar with, and it was about the carbon dating they did from the mortar on the inside of the pyramid. Mm-hmm. So, like, when was that done?
That was done in the late 80s and again in the 90s, maybe early 80s and early 90s. Mm-hmm. But they took from different courses, some on the inside, some on the out. They tried to find inaccessible places, but like I said with Danny, if you can get a tool in to extract it, you can get a tool in to apply it. So that's applications of something like mortar is actually easier. You can use a tube and a syringe. You can't really do that to extract it. But But yeah, the carbon dating on that's off, right? Off by a couple hundred years, and that's a big one to me, because the way that they've kind of bent over backwards to prop up the written record.
Keep everything in line a little bit.
Well, you got There's even a pharaoh. Okay, the first pharaoh that built the big pyramids is supposed to be Sneferu, and he has 3 pyramids that are big. He's got the Medum pyramid and the Bent pyramid and the Red pyramid, and there's no reason for him to have 3 if they're tombs and tombs alone. And
well, I think that you're talking to a guy who does not believe they're tombs. I mean, that's the most obvious thing. Like, that was one of the first pyramid pill things for me was there weren't mummies. Like, you know, I played Zombies Ate My Neighbors. I'm pretty sure there were mummies in the pyramid. You know, like, it's just like a common misconception.
The only one of the big three that they claim, like Menkari's pyramid, they claim to have had a body that was lost at sea, but this is a couple hundred years ago, and no photographs exist of it and stuff. And but I don't think there were tombs either. But I still think that it makes sense that they wouldn't be building 10 of them per ruler. There was probably But the fact that one dude has 3 attributed to him it's funny. They don't really push too hard against it, and it's like, dude, this to me it screams like there's a missing pharaoh there, a missing dynasty, and there's the 2 generations before that. There's the name, I think it's Hedraj or some shit like that, but it literally means erased. It's like there is the Egyptians had no. So it makes sense to me that we know that they played with their history. We play with our history. We erase people from.
I see it played with in real time. That's the other thing, because when you realize that history isn't so set in stone, it's someone's best guess, then you kind of have to think about that. Like, I mean, they're known for keeping good records, the Egyptians, the ancient Egyptians.
Yeah.
But, like, they're probably not perfect. It'd be foolish to assume that they were. So, yeah.
And not just that, like, a great example of, like, there was a battle in World War II called the Mariana Turkey Shoot, they call it. We shot down, like, the Americans shot down, like, I think it was like 200 Japanese fighters in one day. The Japanese did not report it the same as the Americans did. For personal, I mean, and so this is, this is going to end up in all this kind of stuff. And, when all it takes is one ruler to erase stuff, right? In China, famously, there's been a few times that's happened where they would just burn all kinds of history, and it's like, it really. I mean, look at what we had with ISIS blowing up a bunch of the stuff about 15 years ago, and they blew up these Assyrian temples and stuff down there, places that were thousands of years old, and they just destroyed them.
That's terrible.
It is terrible, and it's like, just. When things like that happen, we lose history, and then you're also competing with the powers that be. That like I talked about, Danny Jones, they eat mummies, man, and they've been doing that for like 1,000 years almost. They eat them, and it's not just eat them. They have all kinds of goofy.
You're serious? They eat them?
Yeah, they have been for like it's like since 1200 AD. It's been like I'm dead serious.
That's news to me. Yeah.
Oh man, and you think that, and check that out if you think about it. It's like all of a sudden, like the best mummies would be the most sought after, right? This is the one we want to chew on the hardest.
No thanks. But, I'm good on eating mummies. Yeah.
But then there's all the little weird things on this, there's the cocaine mummies that they won't let them retest, and it's like
right, yeah.
It's like you gotta. It's because tip it into their snack bar. It's like, hey man, that one's laced with the good shit. No, you can't have any more of him.
Yeah.
It's sad, but so much. It's like the stuff that years ago, before that whole island thing happened, there was stuff that years ago I would have been looking at, going, I don't really think that they were doing all that. To be looking at it and go, well, okay. Let's look at this with a new set of. I mean, that crazy girl was all into Atlantis stuff. I don't know if you know that, but her submarine was called like the Atlantis, and like she
that's right. Yeah,
she wanted the underwater Cuban pyramids and was all into all that Atlantean temple on the place and stuff.
Yeah,
and like
I lived a few blocks from where she was supposedly located for a few years. That prison, was across the street from the place I get coffee.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, no, I remember like when the news hit, the baristas were like, did you hear we're getting a new workmate across the street, basically? Yeah. It was weird. And I remember like I'd pass by it often on my way to work, and I would just think like, is she there today? I remember there's a photographer at that that was at that coffee shop for like a month, and he was like trying to get a shot and he never did. So it's just kind of like one of those things like, is she there? I know that might sound like a stupid thing to ask, but it just kind of felt like, I don't know, man. Point. It didn't feel like it. The vibe, it didn't feel like we had someone of that caliber just sitting in Tallahassee. But anyway.
That stuff. One of my favorite memes that I've seen in the last decade was a picture of her and her husband, and it says, "True love is when you finish each other's sentences." And I just about fell out. I was like, "Good God, this is so good."
Yeah.
Yay, internet. We win another one.
Back to the pyramids.
Yes.
Yeah. I am not 100% sure like what your opinion is on like when they were created or how open you are to when they might have been created. Like, do you think it's possible that they are pre-Ice Age structures?
I think,
or is it an impossibility?
I don't think it's an impossibility. I think that it's possible that they were built up over, they renovated over time and whatnot. And so, I'm more of the opinion that the outline or maybe the foundation was set up at that time.
I've heard you mention that.
Yeah, I think it has more to do with the Sphinx being kind of the underpinning point of all that. Myself, I think that the Sphinx was like what made the Giza Plateau a big deal, and so the rest of it all fell into place. But like the Orion Giza correlation theory, where that lines up the best at 10,500 BC. It does also line up in the Fourth Dynasty. There is you have to look at it differently, but there are ways of, and that's honestly one of the best. A lot of people have thrown rocks at that Orion Giza correlation theory, and they usually are kind of they're not very accurate. I've seen actual misleading representations. Like one of my favorite is it's opposite, and it's like, okay, well, it's opposite. It's backwards. 180 degrees flipped. You're saying it's not 90 degrees off. It's not 38 degrees off.
Yeah.
Okay. So if you imagine if I wrote a picture of the horizon on my hand, and then I either flip my hand this way or I flip my hand that way. It's like, this isn't backwards, you boneheads. You're just... And the other thing that they said was that the sun didn't rise into Leo in those days. And, well, this was all this debunking was done in the mid-90s when the internet was... And it's... If you wanted to find information on what constellation the sun rose into, you were going to have to go to an astrologer.
Yeah.
But now I can just go press a few buttons and Wikipedia will tell me. And so these guys were full of shit. And this is, this is something that's why my channel's dedunking, because I watched the Milo Rossi dude say, I dunked on Graham Hancock. And it's like, I watched your video. I compare it a lot to people debunking evolution by picking at one thing. It's like you don't study the body of work. You study this one bone and you, I can disprove the theory by picking it. It's like you don't even know what the fuck you're talking about, man.
You see, I thought your channel was because they're all grabbing the basketballs out of the hoop. I thought that's why it was called dedunking.
That's why I put it in there. Yeah. Oh, okay. Okay. I'm like,
no. So do you think regarding the Sphinx that it was originally a lion, or
I think originally it was a lion. I think originally we know it was an outcrop of rock, right? And I think that it was, it's naturally aligned to the rising sun. And in the Green Sahara period, when the Nile would get high, the water would get up to it'd be like ankle deep to knee deep up to that rock. And the Egyptian mythology of their creation talks about this primordial mound that comes through the flood waters.
It does, yeah.
And so
I wondered if that was the pyramids, but you're saying you think it was the...
I think the outcrop of rock that the Sphinx came from, I think that's why they dug an enclosure. So that as the Sahara got drier, they needed this area to have it connected the sun by facing due east, and then it had the water, so it was the sky, water, ground symbolism. Then it gets drier and they can't keep water in it, so they dig a hole in the ground and they start filling it with water. I don't think the enclosure was done for them to facilitate pause. I think it was... Yeah. And that's why I think it fell out of disuse. Eventually, there just was no water. And then a couple of centuries later, other Egyptians find it like, oh, cool, look at this big cat. But they've forgotten what their ancestors were doing with it. And I do think, just for the handful of people that might be watching that think, oh, he's talking about some alien... No, I do think that... that it was Egyptians or people that lived there. They probably wouldn't call themselves Egyptians then, but the ancestors of the people who live there now. Yeah, it's history's complicated. Some
people that think it was called Kempt or something.
Kemet, yes, or Kemet.
Kemet or something like that.
Kemet,
yeah. In one of those things with no vowels. One of those languages. Yeah. So it's kind of hard to know exactly what they would have called it.
Yeah, those languages with no vowels are definitely complicated when you read them.
Yeah. Well, I'm fascinated by all this stuff. So the library under the Sphinx. Where do you stand on that? I'm just going to grill you on a whole bunch of things.
You're good. Yeah, that one kind of came up first with Edgar Casey, and so that one I do think there are things under the Sphinx that we aren't aware of. I do think, like, let's put it this way: if there was hidden knowledge in Egypt under the ground, I think that it was found by the people that were doing the really cool shit during dynastic Egyptian times. That we know that they were like some of these things you can discuss and debate when it was done, like the Sphinx or the pyramids. But other things, it's like a statue of a dude, but then the statue's fucking gigantic. It's like, well, still, we see the same thing in Cambodia with the Angkor Wat and all those big Angkor temples. They just, like the king Yavimarian, whatever, the third or whatever, he just kind of crops up. Like, he starts doing this shit almost out of nowhere. It's like there is no tradition of this. He just, like, comes in and now they're building these temples. And so if there is these secret stores of knowledge, I think that they're... to put it in Assassin's Creed term, I think that those apples are already in our hands, right?
Yeah. Well, it would still be cool to find a big empty room for me. I would take that as extremely interesting. And I also find it very interesting why, I understand why these places are so protected, but there's so many people out there that would just love them to be investigated further. But you can't. You can't.
You can't. Like I said with the cocaine mummies, they cock block you, man. They stop you. It's like we get a sample from a mummy, it tests positive for New World drugs, and it's an old world mummy. Long before there's contact, you would think they'd want to follow up on that. Instead, they're like, no, you got to follow up on your neighbor. And that's literally what they do. Is they did their following up work, and they debunked the thing by testing other mummies. And that just makes me laugh my ass off. It's like,
perfect
man,
sense.
I want that archaeologist as a defense attorney. Well, I know that Mr. Richards tested positive for cocaine, but his neighbor didn't. So therefore, odds are he didn't do any.
We can't say for certain that cocaine was used at all.
Exactly. Another one that they use is, certain chemical compounds together could potentially combine to form. And again, man, you guys need to be defense attorneys. This is good stuff. This is good stuff. Be up there. Well, Your Honor, it might have been that he was drinking Clorox and smoking cigarettes and eating ham McDonald's and all 3 or 4. Come on, guys.
Well, with the pyramids, for me, it's like, it can't be explained, kind of. There's nothing that explains the mortar that was used being so hard. There's nothing that explains, like, why the rock is so flat and perfect. It just... it doesn't matter when they made them, I guess. That doesn't make any sense to me. Like the bulls thing, the sarcophagi that were supposedly for the king's bulls or whatever. You know what I'm talking about?
I do.
There was this old blog post I read on that, just talking about precision and how, like, you just hold a square up to it. It's perfect. And, like, even I think they say dolomite hammers for the, like, this stuff just doesn't make any sense. Like,
I can play devil's advocate to a point. The way that they make precision granite tabletops today flat, there's a technique called lapping, and they just rub 2 stones together with, like, a paste in between them, an abrasive paste, and it will eventually grind them down to the microns level. But this gives you the flat surface, but it doesn't give you your hard angles. It doesn't give you so. And it's on the scale too. It's like you can make seams with low tech means. You can make seams between stones that you can't fit a piece of paper between. However, when you start looking at hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of these side by side, it's like, well, sure. I mean, there's a lot of things you could hypothetically do.
Hypothetically, and also, like, the kind of perfect holes and stuff. That's something that's always kind of like you just see them lying around, like these, like, core drilled looking. Is there an explanation for that's popular?
Well, there's the most popular one is that they use a copper tube and an abrasive. It's the same as how they say they cut the stones, is they would use a copper saw and use an abrasive, where the copper's not actually cutting. What it's doing is it's using the abrasive power of the stone. So like you put in a bunch of pieces of granite in with your granite, you put in a bunch of pieces of what's the other one? They talk about a bunch of flint that's hard stones that don't break up easily and then abrase. And so twist and turn and twist and turn.
Okay, we've got the copper. We've got a dude on either side. We've got granite and flint mixed in, and we're just going back and forth creating friction. Mm-hmm. Have people tried to recreate this?
Oh, yeah. It's slow.
How slow?
Like about half of an inch per hour slow.
Yeah.
Yeah,
See,
like
that's
way
where
too
it just falls apart. It's just not a good enough. No one would do that. You wouldn't do it.
There's the one thing that really, like, there's an overcut. There's one of the stone sarcophagus it's cut crooked. I don't know if you've ever seen this one. Mm-mm. But the crooked cut is like off by a long ways. I'll send you a picture of it so you can throw it in and post. But if you're using these old school low tech methods, that cut would have been noticed like 8, 10, 12 hours before they stopped. And it's the kind of thing that's so far off that it's like, as much effort that went into all this, I'm sure that some heads rolled, right? If this is all done by hand,
just kept going.
Families died, right?
For real.
There are things there that, and as I'm sure you saw me say on Danny Jones, I'm really slow on the ancient high tech thing. I'm really slow to accept it, and mostly because we need to get there, right? Like, but I'm also on the other side. You know what the Heliopile was that the Greeks had?
I don't.
Excuse me. It was basically a sphere with a little jet coming out of either side. They put it on an axle, fill it with water, and then put the axle over something that was burning. As the water would boil, it would turn to steam, and it would come out those jets, and it would make the thing spin.
I had no idea. They had like a... That's crazy.
Primitive steam engine thousands of years ago, right? So, now there's none been found in the record. Supposedly, I imagine there's a couple on rich dude's shelf somewhere, and excuse me, and they claim that it was only ever used as a toy. But these are people that had to spin a stone to make their bread. They spun sticks to make their fire. You're going to tell me they're watching something spin faster than they've ever seen in their entire life, and they're like,
and then just thinking, no practical use for this, clearly. Yeah.
Exactly. And so people are like, well, they'd have had to invent a flywheel, and why would they? Because they have slaves and all this. And it's like, yeah, you're right. Slaves cure curiosity. I mean, come on, man.
Yeah,
how many innovations did the Greeks make? I mean, come on.
Yeah, a ton. I know about the computer they had. That's crazy. You know that. What was it to determine the date of some event?
Antikythera mechanism.
Yes. Yeah.
That's a really interesting piece too, because I don't think it's that gear set like you're saying. It's a bunch of gears where they could move different planets, tell you different dates, stuff.
Yeah.
And the deal is, it was found with a bunch of priceless statues. The guy that found that was diving came up and said that he found dead bodies, and like they called the cops. Now, if they, because he thought the marble statues were people. Now, if the Antikythera mechanism had been found by itself, I don't think that it would have made it onto the popular culture. I don't think it would have been. I think some rich dude would have ended up with it. Instead, all the attention was on these statues. So that's why I think it slipped through the cracks. I mean, this is where I will get a little conspiratorial, but it's there's reasons for it. I sold a Resident Evil coming soon, Resident Evil 2 counter standee that was this tall.
Yeah.
And one of the guy offered me $600, and I told him to put a 1 in front of that, and that we could talk. And he said, "No problem, just don't tell anybody who bought it." And so. This is you've probably seen it if you look into they're building the game up, the prototype scene. There's guys that dump the prototype for the whole community to play with, and there's guys that they won't even tell you who bought it. They lock it away.
Yeah,
you don't even know who they are.
Yeah. No, it's disgusting when that happens.
But do you think that video games are the first place this happened, or do you think this? I mean,
yeah, no, it happens everywhere. People want the thing to show off to other people in the know, for sure, and just to feel good about themselves.
And a lot of these things, like they get repatriated as laws change and stuff. So they, there's no desire to to show it off. So, like there's a bunch of examples in history of people that like hoarded stuff, and then they pass and like they change the knowledge of the scientific community because they had been keeping all of this crap all this time.
Funny that tendency, just generationally, no barriers. It just stretches through our entire existence. Hoarding and keeping things for ourselves.
Oh man, we have some weird psychoses that, when you get philosophical about it, we got like all these lofty ideas and stuff about how, got to catch them all. But in reality, it's like, man, we didn't even catch half of them, right? We're weird that way. Things need to be perfect, and you don't even get close. Right? Yeah. But it gives us some good music and movies and stuff. People try
it does.
hard, and
it
they,
does. Yeah. But sorry.
No, you're fine. No, I just okay. It's fine.
Yeah. Well, with the pyramids, the other thing, it's a mystery how they were made. It's a mystery what they were for. But when you look at what they are, just measuring everything, that's also fascinating because you look at how precise it faces north. You look at how it's like it just doesn't make sense. Everything just falls apart in my head. You know what I mean? Like
I do.
They like the Randall Carlson has like multiple videos on YouTube where he goes in depth on how he thinks it's a model of the Earth and the Sun, and I don't know if it is or not, but it's very interesting. It's an interesting take. I love hearing people's takes on what they were for. Do you have an idea yourself? Do you think you know what they were for?
Yeah, I think that they're twofold. I think that the Egyptians believed in, I believe it was 12 gates of the afterlife. And one of them, the one that a lot of people know of, is the weighing of the heart against a feather, right? And this was one of the trials that you had to go through. And now they had cheats for these too. You could have a certain scarab, little trinket that you could wear, and this would help you get through the third gate or whatever.
Okay.
I think that when a pharaoh died, that this was reenacted. These gates were reenacted symbolically on the ground, and I think that's what the pyramids were for. And I think that's why they emulate Orion in the sky. Osiris was the underworld god, right? He drug you through the underworld. And I think that's why I think that's honestly why there's mystery upon mystery upon mystery layered inside, because if you want to be known forever, if you want to be immortal, you need them to sing your name, tell your stories around the campfire for all time. And I can't think of an ancient ruler. I mean, Julius Caesar wishes his name was uttered as much as Khufu's, right? Everybody talks about Khufu. So I think that it's like kind of I think the mystery part of it is partially designed. Now, a lot of people think they're technological devices and stuff, and I am open to all kinds of theories on this stuff. This is one of the places where I tend to be way different than a lot of people. I try to make sure I don't have a dog in the fight, because like the whole point of scientific inquiry is you don't knee-jerk, right? I don't just assume. I don't just say, well, this looks to me like, well, if I'm going to do that, why science? Why not just, I can tell you what I think without doing any work. So if I'm going to do all this science stuff.
It's a gut feeling. I had a hunch.
We leave this shit at the door, man. And so I'll bitch about scientists a lot not getting that one right, because, I mean, if you can't do something fundamentally, if you're psychologically incapable of fundamentally handling part of your job, if you can't handle the stage lights and being in front of people, don't be a stand-up comic. If you can't handle having somebody call you a piece of shit and not hitting them, don't be a cop. If you can't pull your ego out of your fucking hypothesis, don't be a scientist. And that's real. You need to not have your soul attached to your idea. But
it's tough because it's kind of impossible to do to an extent. When you dedicate your life to something, it would suck to, as you're coming towards the end of your career, have it be staring you in the face that what you've been saying is wrong.
That would be horrible.
It's a painful thought. Yeah,
it is. But it's also, and this is where I think a lot of science education needs to be directed at, like, on a philosophical level for scientists, because ever since the whole atheism movement of the mid 2000s, it's like science kind of lost its soul, it seems, and they need to remember that like they're still people, and so like I just uploaded a short today that's just talking about how a failed hypothesis is still a net positive. You know, the vast majority of data that we gain comes from failed hypotheses. So if some dude goes out there and beats his head against a wall, as long as he's honest in his research, the data that he gains will be a net positive to humanity.
Yeah, we're all still better for it. Yeah.
Yes, but of course, being wrong always sucks. But that's you know, it's one of the hardest things about it. It's one of the hard things about talking about stuff on YouTube because I mean, I throw rocks at people, so I get rocks thrown back, and I've been wrong about things, and I have to own it, and that sucks. You know, you say, "Oh man, got that one wrong."
But that's the way to approach it, especially on YouTube and YouTube drama related. Like it can eat away at you if you let it.
Yeah.
You kind of have to like let go to an extent and divorce yourself from the personal nature of all of it. It's tough. You get a lot of drama. I've noticed that.
Yeah.
We won't get into that.
You're good. I don't mind. I had a friend of mine. I just went on this camping thing in Ohio at Serpent Mound, and one of the organizers, Darren, he was on a live stream of mine not long ago, and he says, you know, I've only got 2 people that come with an army of trolls, and what's weird about yours is they're all archaeologists. Every time I talk to you, I get a bunch of people, do you know what kind of piece of shit you're talking to?
Yeah.
But
yeah, which is funny because like I've not gotten that sense from you. I don't feel that you're a piece of shit if it needed to be said. Yeah, and I think that. I appreciate your open mind too. I do find that you're kind of in the middle, and I think it's funny. Like it feels like weirdly you almost get more flack sometimes than people who are fully into it was a power plant built 100,000 years ago, like kind of stuff. But maybe I don't know. I don't know why that is.
What got me noticed by Joe and by Graham, was when Graham had the debate with Flint Dibble on the Joe. Okay, and I'm the one that first pointed out that Flint had lied about things like not just got stuff wrong, like openly set it up, planned
stuff
lies.
that he knew. Yeah.
And so that was a big deal because nobody else had caught that. But it was kind of easy because I was friends with Flint before. I was friends with a bunch of the archaeologists. I
didn't know that.
Yeah, my first Patreon supporter was an archaeologist. Like
really?
He's not now, but it's this. They've got the whole narrative. Sorry if you end up having to edit this out. They got the whole little narrative that if you question who built something and the people that built it weren't white, you're being racist.
Oh, yeah.
So
that whole angle, yeah.
I pushed back against that a lot and pointed out that it's not just bullshit, but it's also it's deflection. That was the start of it. Flint flat out said that it didn't matter. It didn't matter if the details they got was wrong. We all know better, basically, and that was where you're
just a really gross misrepresentation of just inquiry.
Thank you. I started flipping the script on. That's one of the reasons I hate. I'll say things like, well, the gene that created the Caucasian race of white people didn't really exist until about 8,000 years ago, and Atlantis was said to have been destroyed 12,000 years ago. Archaeologists don't believe in Atlantis because they don't think you can have civilization without white people, right? I mean, come on, if we're going to play these stupid games, can we talk about the pyramids again? Okay, we go back to that.
Well, I will say that I am super interested in the pyramids, but I don't really think about Atlantis much.
Yeah.
Because it's so I can't see it.
Okay.
I can see the pyramids and they're here and they're never going away. That's another thing that's interesting about them. I feel that we must talk though about the most insane newish kind of thing about like the speculation there may be giant tunnels under the pyramids. You made a video about it a while back, but I haven't seen anyone talk about that since that dropped.
Yeah, it's the synthetic aperture radar stuff, right? And
which is supposedly really inaccurate.
Yeah. Well, it's supposedly a lot more accurate now. They're using AI and stuff to do it. It's from space, and at first I was a lot less skeptical than I am now. It's just been so long, and they're talking like one of the governments or agencies is finally looking at potentially picking it up. But that was honestly my biggest problem was This is the kind of thing that should have, if it really was doing what they said, there is no way the feds wouldn't want that, at the very least, to protect our underground bases, if not to go find other people's. So that's, you call me crazy, dude, but yeah, you go inventing something that's that out there, man, you get a knock on the door by the feds.
It's extremely out there, yeah. It did feel like publicity minded, the way the announcements were made.
Yeah,
100%.
very much. And I gave them the credit for that, too, because maybe they're trying to sell a product. But we're at a point now where they make a claim, and nothing comes of it. And
I'd love for it to get looked into. I mean, it should be pretty easy to figure out whether or not that's real. But no one looks. That's what's always so weird about the pyramids. No one looks. We've got this theory, people get permission to be there for a set period of time, and then they come with their theses and discoveries, but they can't investigate them further. With other chambers that might be in the pyramids, with things that might be under them, we just never get a follow-up. It's weird.
That's right.
That's the other thing. It's weird. It's just kind of you have that sense in your gut where it's why not? That's weird. Why is that? Why?
I think some of that's honestly manufactured. After Arab Spring happened, they lost.
I don't know what Arab Spring is.
Okay, Arab Spring was in the early 2000s. There was a revolutionary fervor that went through the Middle East, and Egypt was one of the countries that was hit. Zahi Hawass, the big Egyptologist guy, he was arrested for antiquities theft and stuff like that.
Yeah, he stole.
Yeah, well,
isn't
really
it proven he stole? Yeah.
Kind of, sort of. When the government's regime stuff changed back a little bit, they let him out and exonerated him.
And gave him his job back?
And that didn't give his job back, but he functions as... I don't know. Do you ever watch Sopranos? You don't have to be the head of the family.
I've only seen the first half of the first season. I did enjoy it.
Okay, but you don't have to be the head. You don't have to be the head of the family to be the head of the family.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So
I do, when he lets Junior be the new guy when he's really still the guy in charge. I did make it that far.
Oh, there you go. Same
I'm
thing.
Glad I was able to.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, same thing with Zahi, right? So, Zahi. So he's in this video where he's talking about Arab Spring when they lost a bunch. It was a revolution. They lost a bunch of tourism, and tourism's about 9% of Egypt's GDP, 8.6%. So it's huge. Yeah. He says if you want, he says, if no matter what is happening bad in Egypt, those New Age people, they will come. And so he's talking about it's the mystery is what sells. So why dig that up? I would rather have you pay money to come over here and pay one of my boys to lead you around the place, poke around in the ground for 20 minutes, stay at our hotel, eat at our food.
I certainly understand that perspective, and I can see where there's could be a certain degree of it that's manufactured.
But I do think that they're hiding stuff too. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
I just think that some of it's about money. Same with Göbekli Tepe, where they've only excavated 5%.
That's another one that's kind of crazy when you look at the fact that they were deliberately buried. That's the weirdest thing. Because it's did they know something was coming, or why is it? And that they're found by accident. I know it was weird for me in world cultures class in 6th grade learning about the Sumerians, and then in high school or college learning that that was a discovery from the late 1800s. And it was weird to me because I'm we lost a whole civilization in there? That can happen? You know what I mean? Once you know that can happen, it's kind of well, I guess we really don't know anything. Because, come on. And then we find this by accident, right? It's just...
It's so crazy.
I don't know. Well, it's interesting to talk about. It's fun to think about.
It's really humbling, too, when you think about how small we are. I mean, imagine all of the people that were... the bee's knees, whose names have been forgotten. This guy was the leader of his group of people and fed thousands, and now we don't even know what language he spoke. He's just dead, gone.
Yeah, it's sobering. You can only hold on to your legacy so much. Yeah.
Yep.
Because it'll be gone. It'll be gone.
Oh yeah. Well, that's why it's in my opinion, it's better to have people remember your incorporate what you've done into their thinking and their lives, and sing your songs around the campfire. The person who wrote "Happy Birthday" is anonymous, but they sure had a better impact on humanity than a whole lot of people who I can mention, right?
That's true. That's true. You don't want to be remembered for the wrong things.
Oh, man.
But
oh,
yeah.
God. Sorry.
I just lost my train of thought.
Oh,
but,
sorry. We were talking about Göbekli Tepe.
We were.
And about,
yeah.
We were talking about... Sorry?
Yeah, the pyramids. I love talking about the pyramids.
I do, too.
I'm trying to remember. There was a specific question I had for you. Can we talk about the power plant idea?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So I don't think I'll start. I'll say what I think on this. I think it's very interesting the way that it's laid out, the interior of the pyramid, and it's curious because it doesn't feel like it's for people.
That's very fair.
Yeah, it doesn't feel like when you're in a human space, you walk in there and it feels like this is for something else, kind of. Was it a utilitarian? I don't know. People talk about resonance in there. They talk about pitch. It's weird. The King's Chamber. What's the point of this? Those shafts that go out. And I've always heard of a hidden door, a hidden entrance mentioned. Was that ever found, or is that just speculation?
Well, one of those shafts was hidden.
Yeah, but a hidden entrance that you could lift up and people could walk inside the pyramid.
Oh, there's
okay.
The entrance on the outside is blocked, but I'm not aware of a hidden one.
Okay. So it's the only entrance we have is the one that was dug out.
The robbers' tunnel, yeah.
Yeah,
I'm aware of, yeah. But yeah,
I have to mention this
yes.
too. The theory that it was dug from the inside out. Have you heard that?
Mm-mm.
So I think the story is that they dug into the pyramid, right? And just happened to come across one of the chambers.
Okay.
And then I saw another speculation that they knew how to get inside the pyramid and they dug out so that they could get something out of it.
That's possible.
That wouldn't fit.
Maybe
they crawled in there somewhere from the subterranean chamber.
Yeah, I was going to say, you could potentially get up through the subterranean passage, right? You're not going to get anything out that way, though. But yeah, it's...
Yeah.
No, that stuff gets... Excuse me. Oh, damn. Old man disease.
Yeah.
That stuff gets interesting because you don't know for sure. One of the problems I have with the power plant hypothesis is... Those are the few problems. One, it's grounded.
Yeah.
That's a big deal. If it's part of it's limestone sitting on limestone, so it's going to bleed its electricity into the ground quickly.
Yeah.
The other one is in order to get the piezoelectricity out of a quartz crystal, you have to sandwich it with metal. You have to have to direct it into your two different your positive and negative, so you can harness it. All the quartz crystals in these limestone blocks are magnetically mismatched in a degree of disarray, and they're not there's no metal plates harnessing it. So the electricity any electricity generated that way would bleed away right away. Another thing is a lot of times they say that the granite was there to conduct the electricity, and the granite, you can pour lightning down granite and it ain't gonna light a light bulb on the other end. It's not a conductor at all. So there's parts of it that are just wrong. Now there's parts of it that aren't just wrong. There's parts of it that they start talking about the opposite effect of creating a vibration in those quartz crystals by putting electricity by putting a direct amount of electricity into them, so that it creates a vibration the piezo. That's basically how your quartz wristwatch works as opposed to how your quartz igniter works. It's the same effect, but one is causing a vibration, the other one's causing a spark.
Okay.
Basically with quartz, if you apply stress to it, it will create an electrical spark. If you apply electricity to it, it will stress itself in a predictable way. So you could potentially create a vibration in all of these stones by providing some sort of electricity. But again, you still... a fundamental loss of exactly how they would get the where they would be getting electricity from, how much that it's not hard. It's not hard to discover electricity. Okay, if you have a tin vessel and a copper spoon and you put lemon juice in it, and ta-da, you fucking kiss those two metals at the same time, and you're going to notice that there's electricity there.
Yeah.
So it's not hard to discover, but harnessing it gets tricky. So
yeah. So if we remove the word power plant and just view it as some sort of device with some sort of vague purpose, I think maybe that's a little more interesting.
Have you heard of, very much so. Have you heard of the Land of Chem, the YouTuber?
No.
Oh man, you got to check him out. He thinks
I do,
that,
apparently.
Yeah, he thinks they were chemical plants, and that's why they have the steps. And so, like, this area was meant to, this pyramid was meant as a methane processing chamber, and in this pyramid they would make ammonia, and in this pyramid it's all about making fertilizer and stuff. It's very low tech.
So he thinks it's for fertilizer, because that's the other thing is you look at that and it's like, that's an awful lot of work for making fertilizer, to make the pyramids for fertilizer.
Yeah. I
get it, because you wonder, like, well, what the hell is it for? Because it feels like it's for something.
It feels like it's for something.
Yeah.
And I will say that it's a huge cop out from the mainstream when they're just like, well, it's religious purposes or symbolic purposes.
Yeah, come on. Literally anything can be explained away by saying it was their religion, which we know nothing about because it's way too old. The other thing that's interesting is that there's no documentation for how they were built for people who are known for their documentation, and that doesn't make sense to me.
No,
that's another thing that just doesn't add up.
And yeah, there's a lot of missing stuff in the records, but there's the problem. The real problem is, as I see it, is archaeology when it started out as a means for antiquarians to catalog their goods. Basically, if a bunch of video game collectors decided to start to call it a science, it's exactly okay. So the best stuff was gone. Like you were talking about how this shit they discovered in the 1840s. Now, the provenance on that compared to the provenance on what we discover today is crap. Because a lot of times, Napoleon shows up in Egypt with a bunch of white-collar dudes telling him to do all this sciencey crap. All the Egyptians that are poor as fuck, they find out that all you have to do is go sell these dudes one of these little pots that you find out in the desert, and he gives you money. Well, now every place that Grandpa told us that there was a tomb, every place that we've played and found, those are all getting hit. And where did they come? Well, I don't know. Where did this come from? Well, I don't know, man. Where did you want it to come from?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
The provenance gets shit, and so a lot of that stuff. I think a lot of what happened back then was the good stuff got sucked up immediately, and so I did a video talking about. You've seen the vases that they talk about, the precision vases?
I watched a little bit of that one. You're saying you think someone just gave them a vase that was made later and said that it was made earlier?
Well, I think that there's a guy, Max.
The vase is crazy, though.
Yeah, the vases are crazy. Well, no, I think what's happened is there's a guy who did a bunch of measurements on vases that are in the Cairo Museum. He did measurements on the vases that are in private hands, and then he did measurements on a vase that was made to order to modern specs off of modern tech. And he found the ones that are in private collections are closer to the ones that have modern tech than they are to the ones that are in the Cairo Museum. So, according to him, this means that the odds are the ones in private hands are all forgeries. But I've used a few different metaphors with the guy. One of them was the silver quarters. Like we used to have silver quarters.
But people go coin hunting for the good stuff.
You go buy a bank, go buy $1,000 worth of quarters.
You can supposedly still find them sometimes. Some people are still into the hobby, but it's not like it used to be. Yeah.
The other thing
they're all gone.
The other thing I compared it with was Clay Fighter. Because for the Super Nintendo, Clay Fighter and Sculptor's Cut. I said if you're one of the people that are in the know, you could walk into a pawn shop and there's 500 copies. You could find that Sculptor's Cut. But guess who gets it? The first guy, not the second guy.
Yeah.
So the second guy, there never was a copy of. And so
with CRTs, like you look at the inputs, the people who are in the CRT community are going to know what a good CRT is.
That's just it.
To other people, they'll list anything at like crazy high prices just because they see CRT and they think that it's valuable. But like a lot of these only have RF inputs; they're junk.
They're junk. Exactly, exactly. Yeah, it's funny. Or they have The DVD player is one of my favorites because if the electronics run through the DVD player, it's almost as bad as just having it be on a flat screen because it's like everything's slow.
Yeah.
But anyway, it's funny to me because it feels like Egypt was being picked clean a very long time ago by people who didn't want. There was mysteries. There still is mysteries, and that it was popular for there's Greek and Roman graffiti all over Egypt, right?
Yeah,
it's like it's been popular forever. But so I think if there is any scrolls that discuss the building of the pyramids, I think that would probably be on a private shelf somewhere in the hands of somebody.
Potentially in private hands, you think?
Probably couldn't even read it. I mean, it was about a year and a half, 2 years ago. The Mexican government bought from a private indigenous family that had them for about 500 years, 3 old Mayan codices, one of them discussing the building of Tenochtitlan.
Really?
Yeah. The $500,000. That's what they bought all 3 of them for. When I told Matt Bell that, and he's the owner of Bell's, the store.
Yeah.
And he was like, well, that was the pennies. that was something like that.
Pennies.
It was nothing.
That's pennies.
He would have bought them for sure. He's got a bunch of those vases.
Really?
But yeah, he's got a bunch of them.
So he's real in.
Oh, dude, Matt's in like super big. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, he flew me and another dude in for a debate not too long ago, and this is the second time he's had me on his podcast. He actually had me on before Joe did, which the first time I'd flown in almost 20 years was to go to Florida to Matt's podcast. He's a really nice guy, dude. For a guy who's filthy rich, he's super, super down to earth. Like I've never seen. Okay, if somebody comes in my comment section, they're like, "Dad, you detached piece of crap," blah blah. Man, I'm just like, man, fuck you and your mom, blah blah. Matt, somebody's like, he's born with a silver spoon in his mouth. He doesn't know anything, and Matt engages with him, and for like 2 days, he's having a conversation with the guy about it in my comments, and I'm just like, man, I would have called this guy all the names of the world by now. You could hire this guy, you could buy this guy's house, and instead you're treating him like a regular old dude. Man, you're all right, Matt. You're all right.
I just can't get over the fact that someone who owns a chain of department stores has a podcast. That alone is funny enough to me.
Oh man, Matt's cool, dude. Too. His store's not Bell's isn't publicly traded. So
it's private.
Yeah, and they rocked it through COVID because of it. Because everybody else was having to cater to their shareholders and stuff.
Yeah.
He's like, we know that this isn't the end of the economy. We're just going to ride on through, boys. We don't have to worry about this quarter. And because of that, he was able to really consolidate and come out of it with it. It couldn't happen to a nicer guy, man. I mean, he's more of a new age hippie than I am, but he'd laugh at me for saying that, right? So
yeah.
But yeah, it's funny because we don't have any of them up here. So when people were like, "Oh, down there, everybody knows what Bell's is," but up here we don't have. We have Ross. That's it.
Just Ross.
Just Ross.
Ross kind of sucks.
Yeah,
I'll say that. But Atlantis. I'd like to talk about this just a little bit.
Yeah.
Some people think that the pyramids were part of Atlantis. Mm-hmm. That seems to be a pretty common theory.
Yep.
At least amongst pyramidians.
Yes.
Like myself.
Yes.
Yeah. So I like that term actually. I'm totally okay with that term.
It's a good one. I love it.
Well, they turn me into an idiot. Right, because I feel like I know things until I start thinking about them, and then I feel like an idiot. So
that's a good way of putting it.
Yeah, what more? Do you think about Atlantis often? I mean, a lot of people in your circles talk about it all the time.
Yeah, I've got a weird opinion on it. It's not really that weird. I just think that it's more. I think it's more. It's not as Randall is the kind of guy that will run down each word that Plato wrote about Atlantis. Michael Donnellan, he's the same way. He's like running down every word that Plato wrote about Atlantis. My thinking is that Atlantis is, if we got wiped out today and you go forward 10,000 years in the future, they would just call us the electronics generation, like we call it the Clovis people, right? So I think that
well, how much would they find realistically from?
Not much, but what you would end up with, I think what we have is like there was a time where the globe was smaller, where people were more connected than they are now, where there was a degree of knowledge that was lost, and I think that depending on the culture that's telling that story, we get a different take. That's why if you read Atlantis, it's all about, like, Atlantis was full of warrior poets and democratic. And they even coated their temples with the orichalcum, which is the same precious metal the Greeks coated their temples walls with. But if you read the biblical version of the Great Flood, it was all about, you don't piss off the one true God. It was a cultural lens. So I think, like, in all honesty, I think my best place to look for a lost civilization would be Easter Island. I think I think there's almost certainly evidence of Ice Age levels, Ice Age civilization at Easter Island. We just had to dig down far enough to find
another place that makes no sense.
None whatsoever.
I love what Randall has said about that, where, like, just the load of the water on the earth causing it to kind of fluctuate, and like different things being underground. And at this period of time, Easter Island would have probably been a series of islands, that kind of thing. I think I've heard him say that. I think that was from him, but I can't say for certain.
Well, there's if you lower the sea levels and you look, there's a whole line of islands that crosses, and Easter Island is like the last island if you're headed from the Americas to Asia. It's like the last island before you cross the Marianas Trench, and so, like, there's like a little bit of a jump there, right? But I think it's a trench. It's one of those places where the tectonic plates are pulling apart, but The biggest reason is there's a thing called the World Naval, the Axis Mundi. The Yggdrasil's an example of, in the Norse mythology. It's the world tree.
The world tree.
Yeah, attached heaven, earth, and the underworld. All of these were connected. Part of the idea is this is the umbilical cord of the world. It's the world's navel. It's the place where the god power started to create the planet. This is the spot. Okay.
The Marianas Trench?
No, there's all over the world. There's one in Cusco. The Dome of the Rock, the Wailing Wall, is one. The Oracle at Delhi. There's the Omphalos stone there that's said to be that. It's supposed to be the stone that Kronos spit up. And anyway, same idea hops up all over the world. This stone is the first place of the creation. Yeah. There's one in Easter Island. There's a world naval on Easter Island, and that's where I think is kind of one of the biggest smoking gun bits of evidence for that, because everywhere else it's the center of their culture. It's the Wailing Wall. It's Sacsayhuaman. It's the Oracle. It's right smack in the middle. And if you're a Polynesian person, that's about as fucking far from the middle of your community as you can get. But if you go back a long time ago and look at the way the islands were set up, it's very central. Be very centrally located, and so I honestly think that Easter Island is one example of it, quite possibly the best one, because the looting of it hasn't gone nearly as crazy as it has in other places like Egypt, where they've been written around for a very long time. But ultimately, a lot of these things get blocked, like. I don't know if you see me talk much about the elongated skulls, but...
I did, actually. That seems to be... Actually, I was going to ask you what's been grabbing your attention lately, and this seems like the thing that has been most grabbing your attention lately. Am I right?
It's just... Yeah, because the cover-up is so tangible.
Yeah.
It's like... I just had a dude email me today on Instagram that I have to get back to him because I don't follow him, but he's telling me that he was just at Tiwanaku and that they'd removed the elongated skull exhibit, and so he's got video that he wants to send me, and it's like...
What is it with those things, man? I don't get it.
This is where, when I started making these videos, I was really skeptical of a lot of stuff, like the giant bones, right? The giant bones. And dude, you start reading this stuff, and it's like, dude, there is so much fuckery with the Smithsonian. Do you know what NAGPRA is? It's the Native American Graves Protection and Repatriation Act. It was passed in 1990, and it basically says that any grave goods or human remains need to be repatriated to the tribe that they belong to. So there's one institution in the United States that's immune to NAGPRA. It's the Smithsonian Institute. They can hide whatever Indian bones they want up in there. And that's really, there was one guy, Els Hyde Glicka, back in the 30s. There's a bunch of dudes that had reported when they would dig up mounds that they were finding these skeletons 6 foot, 7 foot 2. And Ailes went through and he goes like, these guys don't know anything. Those guys, they had their feet extended, you see, and their head was crushed, and these guys weren't smart enough to realize that this was going to make them taller. And then, like, you read about these guys, and it's like they were, like, top-tier scientists of the day, and they just kind of go in there and whitewash the evidence away, and it's like, man, I don't know what's going on with... I don't think it was aliens. I think it was probably a different species of hominid that we were running alongside for a while. But there's definitely something there that they cover up. I don't know how else to put it. It's like when they tell us the information is there, you just can't see it. It's like, I don't, how else? What else?
You
do you
have
call
to ask
that?
why. I don't know why. I have no idea why. It's not even something I think, like, I theorize about. I'm just like, that's weird. I can't know more. Okay, well, why? I guess I can't know. Yeah, I don't know.
You end up. It ends up making it puts people in the worst mindset. It's like, especially now, like all that we were talking about the other second. It goes like, after all that information comes out, it's like, my God, if you tell us that, why won't you tell Jesus? What aren't you telling us? My dear God, man.
Yeah.
What's really going on here?
It's weird times we live in, and it seems that the more you look back, it's always been weird.
Oh, dude,
it's always been real weird.
There's a lot of this weird stuff that goes on with the black magic side of things. I don't believe in that shit.
Yeah.
But H.P. Lovecraft famously said, "I don't need to believe in Santa Claus to understand people exchange gifts on December 25th."
Yeah.
Right? I don't need to know to understand what's going on. You guys are goofy. So, but when they eat mummies and all kinds of goofy black magic shit. If you read anything about Aleister Crowley at all, like that guy was nuts.
Oh yeah, he was totally insane.
And
sometimes it feels like the
influential.
Yeah, but you wonder how some of these guys get their funding. You know what I mean? Like, to just do this stuff. I don't know. There's some weirdos out there.
You ask a really salient question.
Yeah.
If I wanted to start a cocaine empire, I sure couldn't. I'd have to have a bunch of money.
Yeah.
But if I wanted to start an island, I mean, apparently there's just people. You got ghost backers. They just pop up out of nowhere.
Apparently.
Here's your plane.
Yeah.
It's like, Jesus, dude. You ask them a dead-on question, man. Where does a guy like that get this funding? But they do. They seem to. Certain people seem to have no problem being allowed to do whatever craziness they want. Yeah. And then, like, you get the secret society side of things, and there's they talk like the British one where they have to burn a 50-pound note in front of a homeless guy is one of the things they have to do. And it's like, the only reason you do that is to kill empathy, right? This is the whole point.
Yeah.
So you're
I have not heard of this British thing.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not British, and
what society is that for?
I'm not sure, but one of the rich boy societies. I'd have to look it up. I've heard it, and this is one of the ones I'm more apt to believe than I have to say I haven't fact checked that. But if they say that they lock you in a coffin with Geronimo's skull for 2 days, I'm like, well, maybe, but make you burn a 50-pound note in front of a home. Okay, I mean, yeah. The whole point of big business to a degree is to, like, you can't think about. No matter who you're in, it doesn't matter which side of the fence. It's like you got people under you that you don't have to put a face to. You don't have to humanize. It's a lot easier to exploit them, right? The kids yearn for the mines.
Yeah, it does seem we live in a place where a lack of empathy is rewarded.
Oh, man.
Time and time again, contrary to what we were told. But I think the thing is, most people don't have a lack of empathy, and they don't want a lack of empathy. So, like, it's a weird sort of, it's uneven, you could say. Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting to me because we live in this time where we're very, very binary. It's very yes or no, very wrong or right. But at the same time, it's like we are becoming more and more and more on an individual level. It seems that people are, they're becoming more, the desire for connectivity is so high right now. It's like even the AI slop doesn't even make it in thumbnails anymore. People are done with it. It's like it took no time at all, and it's like, it's not real.
It's view poison.
It is. It's weird, but people, even our most we can be all like things should be a certain way, and especially in this day of polarization, so many people are like, those guys need to think exactly like me, but then read any dystopian science fiction thing, and there's one constant. They've removed humanity from the equation. We're no longer, our emotions, our imperfections are removed, and now we just function perfectly. And like, you know, that's what Sarah Connor said, it took Skynet like 2 seconds to figure out what to do with us once it became self-aware. Immediately, it's like, fuck those guys. No empathy, and it becomes horrific. And we recognize that, but we also, in this strange way, push for this emotions cloud us from proper decision making. We end up, it's a very weird binary. It feels like I can understand why mental health stuff is at such a high point right now, because people, I feel like the people that are really scientific minded, like I'm pretty scientific minded, but I also understand certain things like the placebo effect. If the placebo effect is 30%, 30% of the time you give somebody a cancer medicine, it's not a cancer medicine, and it actually affects their cancer because they believe it. Well, if I deny myself the placebo effect, I'm denying myself power, like actual power. So,
no, it's controlling your thoughts is the hardest thing. But if you can harness that energy, you know, it's kind of like, have you ever heard Earl Nightingale's Strangest Secret? That old tape recording? Okay. He had this old tape recording called The Strangest Secret, and it's basically, you know, if you believe something, it'll become your reality. And it does work to an extent. You know, sometimes it's not always on your timeline, but if you, like that saying, a man is what he thinks about all day long, he goes into that. And so it's like, talks about it like a field. If you plant wheat, it'll grow wheat. If you plant nightshade, it'll grow nightshade. It's just kind of like, if you can't control if your mind is constantly running amok, then like your life is going to be more like that. And I struggle with that personally. So
quieting your thoughts can be a tricky one. I used to do a lot of meditation when I was in my 20s and early 30s, but I got to a point where I can usually center myself mentally pretty quick. Like when I was in Sedona a couple of months ago, there was nonstop person after person talking to me for like 3 days. And that got, besides the few hours that I was in my the hotel room or the Airbnb, it was brutal. And then I'm staring at Airbnb with Randall, who talks, right? So it's like, I ain't got much solace here. And but I found there, I just walk outside and just look at the stars. 30 seconds a lot of times.
It helps if you can see the stars, but you know, I've often lived in places where you can't. You got to go somewhere to see the stars. You got to go somewhere to touch grass.
You do.
So like,
you do. It is rough. But even like the taste in music and stuff, like, you know, I don't know how it is in your generation. I know in my generation, music and type of person, you know, your clique or whatever was very intertwined. You weren't walking around listening to Run DMC and kicking it with the fucking guys that were listening to punk rock, right? The skater scene wasn't doing hip hop for a while, right?
It was all segregated.
Well, not exactly, but close, right? You'd get made fun of by your friends if you were listening to Metallica. If you whipped out your Metallica CD and then two later it was Katie Lang, you were going to get picked on, right? But you know, I honestly, like, it's one of the things I taught my son. I listen to fucking everything.
Me too.
And there's certain times I'm in different moods, man, and there's certain music that's like, there's certain frequencies that just like they get you wanting to do stuff, and there's other frequencies when you did that. Those stupid dudes that like hit the gongs and just let it go, man. There's times where I could just listen to that for 30 seconds. And
I like those singing bowls they do sometimes. I'm just like, whoa. It makes me want to get one, and then I look at the price, and I'm like, well, maybe later.
Train my bowl to sing.
All right. Well, I have one more pyramid thing I want to discuss, and this might be off record, but it might not be. So
there's a guy, I can't think of who his name is, but he's got, like, he thinks that they used like airtight tubes and
tubes,
and to move the stones, and they would use like water pressure and basically to push by using like it's out there, but I mean, you know, hypothetically, you know, these are the kind of things they're hard to emulate these things on any grand
yeah,
scale, right?
They are. Well, that's the thing I do admire about this random guy is that he actually took the trouble to handyman build it himself a couple of times. Now, I don't remember exactly what he thinks the purpose was or whatever. I know at one point I saw this crazy guy who was wearing a shirt he made that said Giza pyramids, just add H2O. Have you seen this guy? You know what I'm talking about? You just add the water and it just turns on.
Yep. A lot of the guys think that you just they took the groundwater up and yeah. There's I'll give you an example of how different I look at a lot of these things. Like we talk about how they might have aligned the pyramid, and I think that the pyramid, when squaring it to itself, I think that the way they got these accurate measurements on a 756-foot run was, I think they used a concave mirror.
Okay.
And then there's a plate that's in the Cairo Museum that's got concentric rings. It's a stone plate. Okay.
I know the one you're talking about.
All right.
Yeah.
Now, there's a focal point on your concave mirror, just like a magnifying glass. And there's that little round circle of light that will catch fire if you get it small enough, right?
I've never used one.
Okay.
What's the purpose of a concave mirror?
Well, it's mostly just to play with physics stuff, to joke with, to screw around with light at this point. You can, according to, but you can start a fire with them, okay? Because it has a focal point of light, according to
like
Greek
a magnifying glass kind of.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. There's a focal point that's a function of the size of the sphere that the concave mirror would be a part of. So that focal point's a round dot of light, and it moves its light. So if you're X far away from the target, it's going to be X big. If you're this close to the target, it's going to be this. So I think that plate was for, I think they would calibrate this and measure it by reflecting the light off of the mirror onto a plate at 756 feet. If it fills up this circle, then we're ready to put. That would allow for much more accurate measurements because you wouldn't have a rope that would sag or wind or moisture or anything change it. You would just be using light. So I want to experiment with that, but I'd have to get a fairly large concave mirror built.
Yeah.
But that probably won't be cheap, but.
Probably not, but that's always the way to do things, is to actually build and actually experiment yourself. Even when people are wrong, I respect when people do the test. Yeah. They're so curious, they can't resist, and they have to do it. No matter what the belief is.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
It's an unfortunate thing that so many people today knee-jerk. I can understand why, because we're inundated nowadays. You can just turn on a TV and there's the internet now, but there's 1,001 different conspiracy. Hell, I get sent 50 a day. Right?
I'm sure you do. I'm sure you do.
I feel so bad for guys like Graham or Joe after going through what I got. Because I get people to reach out to me. Hey, man, do you want to get? I've got 50. One dude, I got 50 million followers on my social media platforms. Blah 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 blah. I got something very interesting to you. I'm like, all right, what is it? So anyway, could you tell Joe Rogan for me? It's like, fucking what? Can you pass my mixtape along to Poison? No, dude, I'm good. Sorry, not happening, bro.
Man.
But yeah, so I can only imagine those poor sons of bitches. They just get hammered. Jimmy Corsetti, right?
Go ahead. Wait, what is his name? Jimmy Corsetti.
Jimmy Corsetti, Bright Insight. This is YouTube.
Oh yeah, his channel's great.
Yeah, I love that guy.
Yeah, I loved his story about his own personal awakening when he was in the military and seeing all these ancient things. You see, I haven't seen them myself, but I believe people when they tell me, you can see it in their eyes when they've seen it, that it changes them.
Yeah.
So I can tell he's being truthful with his beliefs and everything. I really liked his channel. Has he published in a while, or is he still going?
He does. His last video was he was on Piers Morgan not too long ago with Zahi Hawass again. I got to do that once.
How does Zahi keep getting on all these shows?
Oh, because it's Zahi Hawass. It's easy. Piers Morgan's kind of like Jerry Springer, right? So
okay. I'm not super familiar with him. I just know he was on a talent show or something, or he was a judge, right?
Piers Morgan.
Wasn't he on Britain's Got Talent or something?
I don't know. Maybe he does a lot of media talking things, and it's usually confrontational. And so, the first time I've been on there twice. I was on there once with Flint Dibble and Mini Minute Man, and it was me and Jimmy. And the next time it was me and Jimmy with Zahi Hawass. And I reached out to me to be on the when Jimmy was just on again, but I was going to Florida to be with Matt Bell and Danny Jones. So
Yeah.
I already had previous engagements. But yeah, those moments are hilarious. But yeah, Jimmy's great that way, dude. When we and him were in Sedona, he was speaking on stage.
I really want to go there. I want to see the Cathedral Rock, by the way.
Oh, dude, it's beautiful. Sedona's fun, man.
Yeah.
But lots of people talked to Jimmy, and then he left. And then like 2 hours go by, and a bunch of his fans realized that Jimmy's not coming back. And I got this whole second wave of people being like, "Hey, could you tell Jimmy? You and him are good friends, right? That's awesome, man. Would you mind letting him know?" And it's fine. It's just funny.
Yeah.
I gave him all kinds of shit. Like, you know how many beers you owe me, dude, when you left? And I had to do like double.
Yeah. It's cool that you've got such cool connections, though. It really is. Yeah.
Thanks. It honestly, it was pretty dream come true. I mean,
yeah.
And the best part about it is I really have. I've never had to sell myself out. I always just call him like I see it. When Graham had me on that thing in Sedona, and he's like, "Oh yeah, and you even debunked me sometimes." And I'm like, "This is like all your number one fans in the fucking world, and you're just telling them that through rocks at you? Come on, man, what are you doing?" But yeah, I mean, I made a couple of videos poking at Jimmy in the past. A bunch of people, and generally speaking, they're chill with me. It's probably because I don't treat them like they're idiots. Call me crazy. Everybody's got their own experiences in life, and there's things that are like fundamentally, formative. I had an experience when I was young that really changed me and made me realize that my senses could trick me. And I was like 10 years old, and I saw somebody watching me, and there was nobody there. And when I broke the image up, like if I hadn't have broke that image up, just a reflection in the glass. If I hadn't looked behind the curtain, if I had just ran out of that room, you wouldn't be able to convince me today that there wasn't somebody watching me. And so that
stuck with you, core memory. Yeah.
It changed. I know that I can't trust my senses. I saw this motherfucker's eyes. He was angry. I could still picture his face today, but there was no face. It was all up here.
That's crazy, yeah.
So knowing that, it's changed, and other people don't know that.
You think that's why people believe in ghosts sometimes? I've never seen a ghost myself, so
I don't know. I'm sure that some of it is going to be things like that. You're going to have. We want to put agency into things because it's an evolutionary advantage, right? It's better to think that noise is something that wants to eat you than think it's just the wind. But so we always are trying to inject agency into things. So we do oftentimes, see ghosts where no ghost exists. But at the same time, dude, I mean, the world's a weird place. I played pen and paper RPGs. There was once we played the Call of Cthulhu, and the guy started us off. We were all just naked, didn't know our names, and we were just like out in the woods. And I never forget that. Like it was like, this is almost like what life is if nobody was teaching. It's just like we don't really know what we're doing here. We don't really know up from down. When I was talking on Danny Jones, you see the bit about the fruit fly that they've got?
No, I didn't.
Okay, they've taken a fruit fly, bro. They fucking Max Headroom did. If you know what Max Headroom is, they took and put its brain into they sliced its brain into a bunch of little pieces. They mapped it out on a computer. They put its brain into a physics engine, gave it a body, gave it sensory input, and it started walking. It started flying. It started looking for food. It started running from perceived danger. Started cleaning dirt off. It was alive in its own little simulation. So
how have I not heard of this?
It's all over the internet. If you just look up fruit fly simulation, or I'll send you a link to a short. But yeah, it's at any rate, like this is the kind of thing that it really kicks the tires on all of it. You have to rethink like fundamental things about the nature of reality. I always used to feel like life was something almost magical, but they're now stuffing it into a computer. So
I still do. I also don't think it's possible. Like, it's different having a brain operate pieces of a computer in a simulation and have that then recreating the brain itself.
Yeah, but
that's a step I personally don't think will. Oh, sorry.
No, you're fine. No, go ahead.
Yeah. Oh, it's a step I don't think that we'll reach. I don't have faith that we'll reach like an artificial intelligence sort of singularity. The way that I view AI as it works currently is just kind of smoke and mirrors. I mean, and a lot of excess. But what you said about the Fly, that's super interesting.
Yeah, it's a whole different ball of wax. It's instead of, because it's not, to me, it's not about, like, creating life is one thing, harnessing it's another. And in this case, it's like we harnessed it. Like
straight Matrix.
Yeah. If you watch the Max Headroom is a fucking old 80s show. The TV networks run the world. I mean, they're still governments, but they're all subservient to these networks that are all worried about ratings. And there's this reporter who's really good at his job, but he's the problem is that he digs into his own network too much. So they want to get rid of him, but they want to keep his ratings. So they put his head in a box and try to kill him off. And Max Headroom is him, right? And
I've never heard of this movie. That sounds like the exact kind of trash I'd enjoy.
Oh, dude, you would love. It was a TV show from the 80s too. Like the movie is great, the TV show's great. I've got it on DVD up there. As a matter of fact, I think somewhere.
Nice.
Next to my copy of The Commies Are Coming on VHS. Well, I got or beta something. Yeah,
that's cool. You have Betamax, by the way.
Oh, thank you. Yeah,
that's so cool.
When doing the yard sale stuff, it was rare. You know, if I bought all the VHS tapes I wanted, it would be like boxes and boxes. But beta's a lot harder to find, and getting just anything, getting a copy of The Young and the Restless recorded from TV on beta is 20 times harder than it is on VHS. And when you start getting later, like I had a copy of Wayne's World or Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure on Betamax, and that's a hard motherfucker to find, man. By '89, nobody was buying beta tapes in '89.
My intro to Bill and Ted was from a promotional DVD that we got from Papa John's. Maybe it was Pizza Hut, one of those fast food chains. But it wasn't Excellent Adventure. It was Bogus Journey.
There's a second one. Yeah, that's Pizza Hut.
But I watched it, and it is trash, but I did like it and watched it multiple times. I liked when they were playing Twister with the Grim Reaper. That was my favorite part. If you've seen the movie.
Yeah. The second
but I
was
later
good.
Watched the original. It was way better.
Yeah, the original's really good. The original is funny. That was, I want to talk about how times have changed. The scene on that when they like think each other's died and they find each other and they go Bill, Ted, and they hug each other and then they both call each other the slur. That was on 6 o'clock TV commercials when I was a teenager. You just they're just calling each other
just casual,
no problem. It's like, whoa, dude, times have changed, my friend.
Sure have.
Times have changed. But yeah, that was a classic movie. Yeah, beta's fun, man. All that stuff. I'm getting old, and it's hard. I still find it hard when I see somebody talking about retro games and they start listing Shadow the Hedgehog as like a classic. I'm just like, it's not retro, guys. That fucking came out last week.
Wait, the original song? You
Shadow
feel
the
that
Hedgehog.
way about the
Shadow?
Okay.
But yeah, it's like PS2 era, like the PS.
Yeah.
It's I was
like the original Sonic's retro. That's actually. Before we go, this would be a good final little topic. Where is the retro cutoff for you personally?
Cartridges is really where
cartridges
like the Nintendo 64 almost like for the longest time kind of felt like I still kind of feel like it's the cheesy console that way, like a cheesy retro console because it should be on discs, but it's not. But yeah, like Super Nintendo and the earlier stuff, that's where. Like, to me, I don't have any problem emulating any of the disc games. Like, my Dreamcast collection, I've got a spindle over there with, like, everything
So
on burnt
Dreamcast,
disc.
is that not retro to you?
It kind of is nowadays.
Yeah.
Here's the thing. I recognize that it is. I don't feel like it is. Okay. So, if that makes sense. It's like, these games don't feel... They definitely... I recognize that it's missing quality of life updates and stuff, but I also recognize that when I played this the first time, I already had 2 kids, right? So, it's like...
Well, the thing with video games that's so weird is it's so new. We can touch the entire history of video games with our own fingers. And so, like, once retro got applied to, like, 8-bit and 16-bit games, and then I feel like grandfathered in is the PlayStation 1, the N64, and the Sega Saturn, the first gen of 3D. Mm-hmm. I feel like it just gets a little murky, and it doesn't stretch with, like, the years. Like, there's not, like, it's... Retro's 15 years ago and we keep sliding it. The way that the games industry has progressed, it just doesn't work like that.
No.
Like, things happened real fast in the beginning and then everything kind of slowed down. So, like, I definitely get what you're saying, and I think the cartridge cutoff is a good idea. Because like GameCube for me and original Xbox, like I understand why it's called retro. I get it, but it still just doesn't kind of like. I don't know. We need a better term for the middle area. It's like a different era. Like the retro, it doesn't mean retro in the same way that like poodle skirts is retro. For like, it's just not the same. Like we're using the same word, but it doesn't have the same meaning.
No, that's a very good way of putting it. You know, the Xbox generation of stuff. The worlds were big like they are now. The two thumbstick, one looks and one moves. All these things were like basically became standardized.
Yeah, and online gaming, that might be a good cutoff.
That's true.
Because like that really did change everything. Like retro games you played by yourself and locally, like Xbox Live and Halo 2 kind of changed the game.
Oh man!
Like there was online gaming with PC and stuff, but it was like everyone had a console. Like.
It's one of the biggest, weirdest things about it's one of the hardest things to express to somebody who wasn't online in the old days. The internet really went to shit when grandmas started posting cat pics on there. It was that bar of entry requiring a basic technological skill level was really nice. It just meant that we didn't have a whole 80% of the people. But of course, then you can't get the money out of it that big business gets now. But
it is weird to think about like the early days, how few of a percentage of the total human population was online.
Oh man,
it was very small. I didn't think about that when I was a kid. You know,
when I did modem stuff in the 80s and 90s, and those were cowboy days, bro. Like you're calling another computer through your modem, and you're paying long distance if they're out of state, right?
Wow, really?
So you would there would be pages that were. You would go to certain places and there would be a list of calling cards. If you remember the old call 1-800.
This is a little before my time, I think.
Okay, you used to have these calling cards that you could go like 1-800-CALLATT, and you would go dial that, for example, and it would or you could go buy physical calling cards and it would have these numbers. So there would be all these pages that you could go to, and they would just have lists of calling card numbers, and all you had to do was just check. These are the ones I just took, and you were limited to like 5 a day. But the entire community was to facilitate you finding a way to totally legally make phone calls that were long distance. So like all the old bulletin board days were like chock full of pirates. Like that's why the pirating like just walked right into the internet in day one, because they were already a bunch of fucking pirates, man. We were already stealing calling cards, allegedly.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, that's
allegedly,
a huge part of the bulletin board. There's a your viewers might enjoy this a lot. There's a thing on YouTube called BBS, the documentary, and it's like an 8-part. It's like 6.5 hours of guys in the early 2000s, early days of the actual internet talking about the bulletin board service days. And damn, dude!
You'll have to send me that link so that I can link it in the description.
Yeah, absolutely. It's fun. It's really fun. I'll send you that and the fruit fly walking around too.
Yeah,
because I think they'll enjoy that. And don't forget to check out Max Headroom. I think you can stream that now.
Wow, I didn't realize that's your poster, Max Headroom.
Oh yeah, he's everywhere. It's funny. This was supposed to be they did makeup, but it won awards for computer graphics. But it was all like
really.
They just digitized the background. Like 87, I want to say
87,
something like that.
Okay.
Yeah. What's my poster here say? I can't read that small. God, I'm getting old. 1988. So.
All right.
Awesome.
Well, thanks for coming on, Dan. I appreciate you being here. Of Dunking.
Yes. Thank you for having me. This has been awesome, man. Really, really appreciate this. I was really looking forward to having this chat.
Me too.
Yeah, this has been a lot of fun.
All right, cool. Well, we'll see you tomorrow. Peace.
All right. Yeah, thanks a lot.
Awesome.
Bye. All right.